What do you do when the people who depend on you suddenly pretend they never needed you at all? The first thing I heard when I stepped onto my daughter's porch was panic sharp. Thin, almost metallic. Maribel's voice cut through the noise like a knife. Just run it again. My mother always pays. The word always hit harder than the cold air against my face. Inside her living room, guests shifted uncomfortably, murmuring about missing food and vanished decorations. Someone whispered that the tables never arrived. Another asked if the caterer had canceled. Greg stood near the window, sweating through his collar while trying to explain something to a man who clearly wished he had stayed home. Maribel's voice rose again from the hallway. I do not care what your system says. Charge it one more time. She has never let a payment fail. The phone beeped with another refusal. She cursed under her breath, whipped around, and froze the moment she saw me standing in the doorway. Mom, I nodded once. Nothing dramatic, nothing loud. My name, Eudora Penn, felt unfamiliar in the chaos surrounding us, as if I were a guest instead of the woman who had held this family together for decades. Her eyes widened as the math in her head began to rearrange itself. Did you change something? Why is everything falling apart? Greg stepped toward me, voice tight. We just need you to handle the charges. Eudora, the vendors said the account is frozen. Maybe they made a mistake. There was no mistake. I kept my tone steady. 3 weeks ago, Maribel called me. She said I should not come to Christmas because I did not contribute enough. So I listened. The room seemed to pause. Even the children stopped moving. I did not stay long. I did not owe explanations. I simply stepped back outside. The winter air folding around me like an old coat I had finally remembered how to wear 3 weeks earlier, before any of this began. The phone rang in my kitchen and Maribel's voice sounded rehearsed. That was where it truly started. How does a single sentence undo decades of devotion? The call came on a gray morning. The kind where the house feels quieter than usual. I was sorting through receipts on my kitchen counter payments for decorations, the caterer's deposit, and the rental company's fee for the long farmhouse tables Maribel insisted would elevate the entire aesthetic. My handwriting covered each slip, circle after circle showing totals I never once complained about. The phone rang, and I answered without thinking. Maribel, is everything all right? She breathed out too softly, as if she had practiced it. Mom, we talked about this. We just feel it's best if you do not come for Christmas this year. I pressed the paper against the counter to keep my hand from shaking. You do not want me there. It is not that, she said quickly. You just did not contribute enough this time. Everyone has to do their part. In the background, Greg's voice floated through, half detached. Tell her we all need to pull our weight. It is only fair. The words slid into me like cold water. I stared at the stack of receipts money I had paid weeks earlier because Maribel asked, Mom, can you just handle it? You are so good at these things. I remembered her smile when she said it. Warm, familiar, easy. Maribel, I said carefully. I covered every major cost. You know that. A pause, a practiced inhale. I appreciate it, Mom. But contribution is not just about money. It is about participation and energy. And, well, you have been distant lately. Distant. I had driven across town 3 times that month to help her. I had stayed up late comparing caterer quotes. I had reordered lights when the first shipment arrived broken. Distant was not the word, convenient was. I felt something quiet settle inside me. Not rage, not grief, something steadier. A shift I had ignored for years. I understand, I said, and I hung up before she could turn the knife again. The kitchen fell silent, except for the whisper of paper against my fingers. Everything I had carried for them suddenly felt heavier, as if I had finally realized I was the only one lifting it at all. I used to think the small things were normal. Every family had holiday emergencies. Every mother stepped in to fix the gaps no one else noticed. When the oven failed 2 years ago, I spent the entire morning kneeling on the kitchen floor with a toolbox while Maribel reassured guests that she had everything under control. When the decorator quit last year, I drove across town to buy replacement garlands and lights, then hung them myself while Maribel posed for photos beside them. She always told people she handled the details. I let it pass. Peace felt more valuable than credit. Neve stopped by a few days after the phone call, her coat still dusted with snow. She hesitated before sitting. "Mom, did Maribel tell you she changed the planning group chat?" I looked up from the stack of receipts I had been sorting. "What do you mean, changed?" "She removed you," Neve said quietly. "She told everyone you were overwhelmed and needed a break. I only found out because Greg made a joke about you not being invited to the menu vote." The words sat heavily between us. Neve twisted her gloves, guilt settling into her shoulders. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed. A message from the caterer lit the screen, confirming the menu revision for the heart event. "Need approval on the seafood swap." I called immediately. "What revision?" The woman on the line sounded confused. "Your daughter already approved it. Mrs. Penn, she said you were stepping back this year." Stepping back? Another convenient phrase. That night, while reviewing the holiday account, I saw the transfer a large withdrawal move to an unfamiliar name. When I searched it, the listing showed Greg's sister-in-law. I said it out loud, though no one was there to hear me. "They used my money again." My hands did not shake this time. Something quieter settled into me, a certainty I had ignored for far too long. There was no misunderstanding. And the pattern had started long before that phone call. The text arrived while I was making tea, the phone buzzing against the counter with a kind of urgency I did not recognize at first. I wiped my hands on a towel and glanced at the screen. The message preview froze me in place. "Once we uninvite her, she will get the hint. She is not the only one who can pay." Maribel's name sat neatly above the words, as if they belonged to any ordinary conversation. I opened the message to make sure I had not misread it. The sentences stayed the same: sharp, confident, bare. I read them again slowly this time, letting each word settle into the spaces that had been uncertain only days before. The missing invitations, the hidden planning chats, the transfers. None of it was accidental. It was never disorganization. It was deliberate, planned, executed. The kettle hissed behind me, but I did not move. I felt the shift inside my chest, not a crack or a shatter, but a settling, a decision finding its shape. Neve stopped by that afternoon. I held out my phone without speaking. She read the message once, then pressed her lips together. I warned her this was cruel. "Mom," she whispered. She just laughed and said you would get over it like you always do. "Like I always do," I repeated, the words tasting unfamiliar now. Neve reached for my hand. "I am so sorry. I should have pushed harder." "You don't need to apologize," I said. My voice surprised even me, steady, quiet, certain. I see things clearly now. The clarity did not hurt. It freed something. Neve looked at me, searching my expression. "What are you going to do?" I folded the phone gently and set it aside. I am going to stop making it easy for them. And for the first time in years, the decision felt simple. The holiday account sat open on my laptop, the numbers arranged in neat rows I had balanced for years. My name, only my name, appeared on every contract, every authorization, every vendor file. Not one document listed Maribel or Greg as anything more than temporary contacts. I had built the structure, brick by brick, without ever realizing how much they relied on me to keep it standing. I scrolled through the transactions again, the withdrawals, the unexplained transfers, the charges made without my knowledge. My finger hovered over the freeze account option. For a moment, I heard Maribel's voice from the night before. She will get over it like she always does. Not this time. I clicked. The confirmation box appeared, asking if I was sure. I had never been more certain of anything. One more click, and the account locked instantly, sealing every dollar behind my signature. As the screen updated, another notification flashed. A vendor invoice, one I had never seen, marked premium package upgrade. I opened it. Greg had negotiated a high-tier service using my name, my reputation, and my credit. I dialed the company immediately. "This is Eudora Penn," I said. "Cancel everything tied to my account. Effective now." The representative hesitated. "Mrs. Penn, the penalties, send them to the party who made the changes without authorization. One by one." I called each vendor, the caterer, the florist, the rental supplier, the entertainment coordinator. Their voices shifted from confusion to compliance the moment I confirmed the cancellations. The penalties stacked themselves neatly onto Maribel and Greg's event record. By late afternoon, my phone buzzed with a call from Cyrus Wakefield. His voice always carried the calm of someone who had seen storms come and go. "Dory," he said, "do not do anything out of anger. You deserve peace more than revenge. I know," I told him. "And this is not anger. This is me choosing myself." Cyrus exhaled slowly. Then, "Hold steady." "I will," I said, and for the first time in a long time, I meant it. By the time Christmas Eve arrived, the collapse had already begun. The rental company called Maribel first. I heard later that she tried to argue, insisting the delivery had been confirmed. The representative told her plainly, "We cannot release items without payment, and the account holder has canceled." The florist followed with a curt message that all arrangements had been withdrawn. The caterer sent a final notice without authorization from the contract holder. Nothing would be prepared. Inside the house, the tension pressed harder than the cold outside. Guests shifted from foot to foot, whispering about empty counters and the bare corner where the main table should have been. Someone muttered, "I thought they hired professionals this year." Another said he had skipped a family dinner for this. Maribel kept her smile stretched too tightly, waving her hands as if she could shoo the disappointment out of the room. "Technical issues," she insisted. "Everything is being sorted. Just relax and enjoy yourselves." But her voice shook, and Greg kept snapping at his phone, trying to reach vendors who had long stopped answering. Then Greg's potential business partner, a sharply dressed man named Alden Pierce, stepped through the doorway. His eyes swept the room, taking in the chaos. "Greg," he said slowly, "I thought this was supposed to be your showcase event." Greg swallowed hard. "It is just a hiccup. We had a mix-up with the vendors." Alden's brow lifted. "A mix-up or a misrepresentation." Maribel grabbed Greg's arm, whispering urgently, "Fix this. Do something." Her panic finally showed through the cracks she had fought to hide. I arrived at the edge of the walkway just as her voice faltered. I did not rush. I did not need to. The truth had already arrived before me, unfolding exactly as it needed to. Their winter wonderland had never been theirs to claim. I had simply stepped back and allowed it to show its true weight. Maribel met me at the doorway before I could step inside. Her face was pale, her voice thin. "Mom, did you do something to the account? Everything is falling apart. The vendors are saying you canceled." Behind her, Greg's tone was sharper. "This is sabotage, Eudora. You cannot just shut things down without telling us. People are here, important people." I looked at both of them. Neither accusation nor apology in my expression. 3 weeks ago, you told me I did not contribute enough, so I stopped contributing. The words landed heavier than I expected. Maribel stepped back as if something inside her shifted. "That was not what I meant," she whispered. I was frustrated. You know how things get. Neve appeared from the hallway, her voice steadier than her sister's. You meant it. Maribel, you told all of us Mom needed to step aside. I tried to tell you this would hurt her. Greg threw up his hands. She still went too far. This is extreme. The florist said the account holder froze everything. That is you. Eudoria. Why would you go behind our backs like that before I could speak? A voice from the crowd cut in. It was one of the rental employees who had come to clarify charges. Sir, the cancellations were issued because someone upgraded services without authorization. The penalties are standard. We follow the contract holder's instructions. Several guests turned toward Greg. He flushed crimson, his jaw tightening. Maribel's shoulders slumped. Mom, please, can we fix this? Tell them it was a mistake. I will not be used to repair what you chose to break, I said quietly. Their voices rose again, pleading, blaming, scrambling for control, but I did not stay to listen. I stepped back into the cold air, letting the door close behind me. The noise faded as I walked toward the street, leaving the chaos exactly where it belonged. I spent Christmas morning in Cyrus Wakefield's kitchen, the warmth from the old stove settling into my shoulders like a blanket I had earned. He poured me a cup of tea, his hands steady in the way men's hands become after they have lived long enough to stop rushing. You look lighter today, he said, sliding the cup toward me. Maybe I finally put something down. I answered. He nodded. You carried that weight for a long time, Dory. Longer than any one person should. There was no noise, no expectations, no frantic instructions. Just the quiet hum of a house that did not demand anything from me. Cyrus made a simple breakfast: eggs, toast, and a tiny bowl of berries he claimed were a touch of color for a gray holiday. After we ate, he touched my hand gently. You did what you needed to do. Not for revenge, but to stop losing yourself. I did it to breathe again, I said, and maybe to remember who I used to be before I became everyone's safety net. A soft knock sounded at the door. Cyrus stepped aside as I opened it. Neve stood on the porch. Her cheeks flushed from the cold. Mom, she said, voice trembling. I did not know how bad it had gotten. I should have said something sooner. I pulled her inside and held her close. You do not owe me an apology, sweetheart. You were caught in the middle. Neve shook her head. No, I let Maribel talk over me. I let her pretend she knew what was best for the family, and I watched you carry everything alone. I brushed her hair back, something I had not done since she was a child. I did not lose you. I told her softly. I only lost the illusion that your sister saw me the way you do. Neve leaned her forehead against mine. I am here now. We sat at Cyrus's table, the three of us sharing quiet stories until the afternoon drifted in. For the first time in many years, the holiday felt like it belonged to me, not because I paid for it, but because I finally stopped paying for everyone else's version of it. The apologies began the morning after Christmas, delivered through a stream of long, frantic messages that lit up my phone before sunrise. Maribel wrote paragraphs about misunderstandings, stress, exhaustion, every explanation except the one that mattered. Mom, I never meant to hurt you. I was overwhelmed. Greg pushed me. The vendors lied. You took it the wrong way. Each line circled the truth without ever touching it. She wanted forgiveness without accountability, healing without honesty. Greg's messages came next. Shorter and sharper. We need to discuss the damages. You froze the account without permission. Some of the vendors are threatening penalties. This could have legal consequences for all of us. I forwarded his final message to Attorney Mae Voss, who returned my call before noon. She listened carefully, then said, You have nothing to worry about. Eudoria, all of the accounts were in your name alone. They had access only because you allowed it. That permission can be revoked at any time. What about the contracts? I asked. Her tone grew firmer. If Greg used your name to upgrade services or negotiate terms, that is misrepresentation. If he threatens legal action, I will explain the consequences, loudly, by afternoon. She had already contacted Greg. He did not write to me again. Word spread quickly through the vendors. The rental company flagged Maribel's future inquiries as high risk. The florist told a mutual acquaintance she would never work with the Hart family again. Even Greg's potential business partner withdrew his interest, citing organizational concerns. That evening, another message arrived from Maribel. This one was shorter, typed shakily. "Ma, I really need to talk to you, please." I did not think everything would fall apart like this. I set the phone down without responding. Some bridges were not destroyed in a single night. They had been crumbling for years, held up only by my hands. And I was no longer willing to be the structure that kept everyone else standing. Attorney Mae Voss tapped her pen lightly against the folder she had prepared for me. "Everything transfers today," she said. "Your assets, the holiday account, the investment funds, every dollar will move into a protected trust under your sole authority. No shared access, no loopholes." I nodded. "And Maribel, she will have no financial role tied to you ever again," Attorney Voss replied. "Given Greg's behavior, I would advise keeping him at a distance as well. His business partners are already asking questions about the event collapse." Her tone told me enough. Whatever image Greg tried to maintain had begun to crack. That was no longer my concern. I signed the final page. My name looked steadier than it had in years. When I stepped out of the office, the winter air felt clearer, less weighted. My phone buzzed again. Maribel's name appeared on the screen. I hesitated before answering. Her voice rushed out immediately. "Mom, I am begging you, please tell me what to do. Everything is a mess. Greg is furious. The vendors will not talk to us. Alden says he does not trust us anymore, Maribel." I interrupted gently. "Stop." She went silent. "I do not want anything from you except honesty," I said. "Not excuses, not revisions of the truth. Honesty." Her breath hitched. "I did not mean to push you out. Things got away from me. They got away from you because you let them," I said, "and because you believed I would always clean up the pieces. But I am finished being the solution to problems I did not create." "Can we fix this?" she whispered. "Not today," I said. "Until then, enjoy the Christmas you said you did not need me for." There was no anger in my voice, only a final boundary set softly, the way a door closes when the hinges have finally been repaired. I ended the call, slipped the phone into my pocket, and walked toward the community center. A flyer had caught my eye earlier in the week, a winter photography class. Next month, a senior hiking group was opening registration. I signed up for both before I could talk myself out of it. For the first time in decades, my plans belonged solely to me. No debts, no expectations, no apologies. If you felt this story, remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more powerful journeys like mine.